Why is emotional and social intelligence critical to an individual's quest? Here we focus on a soul's quest, and primarily is the individual taking that initiative in their lives, taking that going on that quest. So why is this important part of that?
So I can only speak from a personal point of view. But from at a macro level, I think that emotional and social intelligence are critical, for the success of an organization. And some people will disagree, and they'll say, well, I'm successful and I've never had to interact with any of my people. And that's great. That's fine. But when those people leave, those people at the end of the day, they go home, they're miserable, they hate their jobs, they don't feel fulfilled, they don't feel like they're getting what they need out of giving 8 hours or 10 hours a day to another individual for their success, and they're not getting anything in return. Even those people that are extrinsically motivated, they're getting paid a good amount of money.
Yeah,
they're not happy. I've worked with people who've made $150,000 a year, and they're just miserable. Cogs in the wheel. They're just doing stuff because they don't feel intrinsically motivated, right? So at the macro level, it's important, and I think if you care about people, if you're a CEO or a leader or an individual in a leadership, or not even people in a leadership position, but people who are wanting to be in a leadership position. Yeah. It's so critical to understand the effect that you have on other people and the potential adverse or positive effects that you can have on another person, right? So on an individual level, it's important because when you're in the situation where you're the cog in the wheel, if you're self-aware and you're able to manage your feelings, then you're not the person that says, I'm going to freaking quit this job, and just telling your boss off or whatever. But you can actually go into that leader's office and say, listen, this is what I do. This is where I'm at. These are the things that I need. These are my ideas. These are my suggestions. And who knows, the person, the follower in that situation may be able to motivate or influence that leader and provide that leader with a little bit of emotional intelligence
as well.
You understand? And that is an individual thing for you to have that ability as a follower. Okay. And I know a follower, that word, the very word has a negative connotation.
It does. Yeah,
but it's so, oh my God, I have people that I'm responsible for at my job, and they influence me in positive ways all the time. Yeah. Part-time people.
That's an interesting thing that you mentioned because this is part of social and emotional intelligence, because we live in a social construct with other people. And one of the things one of the reasons why I think this is so important for people to understand, for individuals to understand, is that we live in a world right now that is it's not the worst time that ever happened in history.
Oh, no.
Not by far.
Yeah, no.
Not the worst time. But it feels as if it is.
Yeah, it's pressure.
And there's so much tension, and there's so much pressure.
Noise.
There's so much noise. And we are buying into a lot of that noise. And as a consequence of it, we are becoming more splintered, more separate. I think that the episodes of road rage and people being really
angry,
it's
hateful
really bad
towards each other. Yeah.
So I think that understanding that big picture, and then understanding that as an individual, I have the option to be able to expand how I interact, to learn and how to moderate and how I interact with those in my immediate surroundings, and have an effect that is more inducing of a totality than a separation, right?
Exactly.
So it's
Which is the very thing we talk about
all the time. Yeah. So it's almost as if I think that one of the things about us and social and emotional intelligence is that if it's like the drop in the bucket, the drop of water in the ocean that may seem insignificant.
Yep.
Working on these things, working on self-awareness, working on self-regulation, it may seem that it's not going to do anything, but that little drop in the bucket,
think about how many
in the ocean, that is.
Right. I don't, and that is the very thing that is emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Is having that capacity to understand that I as an individual have the power to either make or break another person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And my environment.
And as a consequence, that person that you've either broken or made is going to have a domino effect with other people.
Exactly.
It's perpetual. It's a butterfly effect. It's the drops in the ocean that brings us together. And I don't think people understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you did, then you would be like, whoa, that's a lot of power. Let me reevaluate how I respond to people.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize I had that much effect on somebody. But some people love that. Mm-hmm. They love to break other people down. They love to have power over people. They love to make you feel bad. I know you worked for somebody a couple of years ago who, and I always thought this was really ridiculous, but that power that person had, that he influenced so many other people to treat you terribly. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget that, because I was like, that is the most immature thing ever. Nobody's going to talk to you. You walk into a job and nobody's speaking to you. It's like, really? Like, how does that happen? That was the power of one individual who has zero emotional intelligence, in my opinion. And I stand firm on that, because if he knew that he had that much power, he would have never done that. Mm-hmm. Because that affected not only you, that affected the environment that you were in, the other people that you were around. It affected a lot of things. Yeah. You understand? And that is what one person exercised that power over how many people? A group of people.
And you know what the interesting thing about that is? That this is why important to understand social, your own emotions and your own reactions to things, right?
Self-regulation.
It's because me being exposed to all those things, as hard and as difficult as they were at that time, for some reason, one way or the other, I'm here. Like, we're doing this, right? And so there are lessons, and there are those experiences gives you insight, like deeper insight in your personality, and also how other people view you, and in relations to that, and you have to learn from that and then be able to adjust.
And that's that self-resilience part.
Because
you could have either you could have said, oh, okay, this is the world. I'm scarred by it. I'm hurt by it. And now I'm just going to be the villain, which is what you talk about. Yeah. And now I'm going to do this to other people. Or I can choose to be different. That's not what I want to do. Mm-hmm. That takes a level of awareness and management of your emotions to understand that and have that capacity to make that decision to do what we're doing.
And these are choices that we make on a regular. These are we use ourselves as anecdotes because we're talking about ourselves. But when we're listening to our interviews and we see how these interactions happen with people, and how people either say this or said that, and they make them feel a certain type of way, we have we put a quote a couple of weeks ago from Cloud Atlas about our lives are not our own, and by any crime or any kindness, we influence.
It's like the butterfly effect in but it was a beautiful quote.
So we don't see that in the connectedness of it all, and I think what social and emotional intelligence is doing from a scientific standpoint, because there is research involved in this, and there is that aspect of many years of research, many years of experimentation, many years of trying to figure out a way to systematically incorporate this into our society, through IQ, consequently, right? that with the intention overall to not to tame the animal in us, but to be able to bring it together, to
Correct.
be able to congeal it all, and make and be able to create a better balance. So I think, like, to summarize it all, emotional intelligence as it relates to the quest really is a tool in which we bring all those emotional aspects of ourselves integrated into ourselves, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. And by us understanding that, then we are better able to relate. I mean, to relate, is that it? To relate to others, relate to society, and then being able to choose what kind of an impact we want to have.